morning. This is Jennifer. I have another book recommendation for you. So I just finished reading this book, War Stories by Korman. Now, I checked this out from one of our local middle schools in the district that I work for, and I really loved this book. It is about a boy named Trevor, 12 years old. He's a huge fan of video games, especially war video games. And World War II was a huge topic for him because his great grandfather was a soldier in World War II when he was 17 years old. And he had been touted as a hero in a battle. And so his whole life, Trevor had been hearing about how his grandfather was a hero and he saved all these people. And it's now the 75th anniversary of that liberation of that battle. And so they travel to Europe and kind of cross the continent following his grandfather's steps of where he went when he started the war and where he ended up in the village. They end up in the village that he helped to liberate. And along the way, he learns a lot about his grandfather and he learns a lot about war. And it's not maybe as glamorous as he once thought it was. The way the book is written in alternating chapters. So one chapter is set in 2020, which is the great grandfather and Trevor's dad going to Europe. And then it intersperses with chapters from 1944, where the very young great grandfather, whose name is Jacob, is 17 and actually experiencing World War II along the way. I feel like this would be a great book to read as a companion novel to any study on World War II. I can see, high school history class, U.S. history, that when they study World War II, read this book along with it. It's got a 12-year-old narrator, of course, but then you also have that 17-year-old narrator of what it was like for him as he's actually experiencing war. And it's that first-hand account from that perspective that is super interesting, in my opinion. It could be really helpful for kids to understand. And also to understand that it's not like the video games they play, that living through World War II was such a different experience for those actually teenagers and young boys who lived that and fought for our country. So I think this is a great recommendation for reading with a class or for any reader. I would say, fifth graders would love this book. But I think high schoolers would also appreciate it. I'm an adult and I really loved it. So I highly recommend War Stories by Korman. Happy reading.